Welcome back. So today we're diving into this explainer on the hidden habits of high emotional intelligence. We usually think of emotional strength as this outward thing, right? Like schmoozing a room, dominating a negotiation, or just leading a team. But as we're going to see, true emotional strength, it is literally all about mastering your own internal responses, not trying to control everybody else. It's like building this incredibly resilient, invisible architecture right inside your own mind, something that keeps you totally grounded no matter how much chaos is swirling around you.
I mean, have you ever met someone who can navigate a super tense argument without ever raising their voice or losing their cool? Think about that one person you know who just stays completely chill under immense pressure. When everyone else is totally freaking out, they're just steady. So what's the deal? Are they just naturally thick-skinned? Were they born with some magical, bulletproof confidence? Well, psychology actually tells us a completely different story. There's a real, learnable science behind it. These folks share very specific, learnable patterns that let them process high-stress emotions internally. They aren't just pushing their feelings down, they've literally just built a better operating system for handling them.
Okay, to figure out exactly how they pull this off, we're going to map out this explainer into 4 core pillars: the internal foundation, processing the world, escaping the digital illusion, and finally, relationships and boundaries. Let's jump right in.
Let's kick things off with our first pillar, the internal foundation. This covers the first 4 traits that basically form the unshakable bedrock of an emotionally intelligent mind. So, this whole foundation starts with trait number 1, intrinsic self-worth. Look, we live in a world where it takes, half a second to check how many likes a post got? It's so unbelievably easy to just outsource our self-worth to the internet. We kind of look around waiting for other people to clap before we decide if we actually did a good job. But people with high emotional intelligence, they have a confidence that comes completely from within. Psychologists point out that these individuals already feel totally complete, exactly as they are. They aren't waiting on a boss's praise, a compliment from a partner, or, social media engagement to feel valuable. And honestly, this internal generation of self-worth is an absolute superpower. Why? Because if the outside world didn't give you your confidence, the outside world absolutely cannot take it away. And once you lock in that intrinsic self-worth, it triggers this amazing domino effect, automatically building traits 2, 3, and 4. Trait 2 is self-concept clarity. Basically, this is an unwavering awareness of exactly who you are and what genuinely matters to you. They don't wake up wondering, what persona do I need to fake today to fit in? And naturally, that clarity feeds right into trait 3, secure self-esteem. When you actually know who you are, your anxiety drops, and that desperation for a stranger's approval just kind of vanishes. All of this wraps up perfectly into trait 4, an internal locus of evaluation. To put that into real-world terms, instead of picking a career just because it sounds fancy at a dinner party, they pick what aligns with their actual passions. They judge success strictly by their own personal scorecard, ignoring society's generic expectations entirely.
All right, with that rock-solid internal foundation in place, let's shift to our second pillar, processing the world. We're looking at traits 5 through 7 here.
Because they are completely guided by those internal standards, trait 5 just naturally pops up. And that is an incredibly high privacy orientation. Emotionally intelligent people really don't feel this burning urge to, soft launch their new relationship online or broadcast what they had for breakfast to 500 random acquaintances. They actively protect their mental energy. They know for a fact they don't need to announce every single move to feel validated. Actually, they see keeping parts of their life private as a true sign of emotional maturity. It's not that they're hiding or being sneaky. It's more like they're just conserving their energy for the stuff that actually matters, purposely keeping their mindset safe from all those exhausting public opinions.
And man, that conserved energy is absolutely crucial, because when things inevitably hit the fan, they don't panic. Instead, they lean right into trait 6, thinking in nuance. Let's say a major project tanks at work. They don't instantly look for a scapegoat or jump to some rigid, the sky is falling conclusion. Instead, they look for the gray areas. They're searching for context, the variables, the exceptions. And because they actually take a breath to see that context, they effortlessly slide into trait 7, rapid problem solving. Rather than throwing a tantrum or having this massive emotional outburst, their brain immediately pivots to, okay, how do we fix this? They turn total chaos into a clear set of manageable steps simply because they refuse to be hijacked by a knee-jerk emotional reaction.
Moving right along, that brings us to our third pillar, escaping the digital illusion, where we're going to unpack traits 8 and 9.
So emotionally intelligent folks are acutely aware of social comparison theory, which is our 8th trait. They fully understand the ultimate psychological trap of the modern world, that mindlessly scrolling through perfectly curated highlight reels totally distorts reality and completely tanks your life satisfaction. They know that comparing their messy, behind-the-scenes life to someone else's heavily edited, filtered highlight reel is just a rigged game. By recognizing this trap, they actively step back to protect their peace. And that flows perfectly into trait 9, prioritizing the authentic over the digital. They actually crave the real stuff, genuine, unscripted, deep conversations, and tangible, real-world goals. They would way rather deal with the messy friction of actually living their lives than exhaust themselves performing a flawless, fake version of it for the internet.
And finally, we've arrived at our 4th and final pillar, relationships and boundaries, which is going to round out our last 3 traits. Traits 10 and 11 are all about this really comfortable sense of independence. Trait 10 is having a super high tolerance for solitude. Look, so many people settle for toxic or just downright boring relationships simply because they are terrified of being alone with their own thoughts. But emotionally intelligent people, they don't fear the quiet, they use it to recharge. They literally never settle for a bad fit just to escape loneliness, which ties directly into trait 11, highly developed pattern recognition. When they run into emotional inconsistency or a betrayal, they don't sit there making excuses for the person. They actually learn from the red flags. They aren't avoiding human connection because they're scared. They're just using their past experiences to adapt and become incredibly selective about who gets a VIP pass to their time and energy.
And it all comes together with trait 12, guarded empathy. Emotionally intelligent people are so observant. They can walk into a room, instantly read the vibe, sense a shift in someone's mood, and anticipate an issue before a single word is even spoken. They feel deeply for other people, but, and this is a big but, they also know a very harsh truth. Empathy without boundaries is basically self-destruction. If you become a human sponge for everyone else's problems, it's going to drain you dry. As the saying goes, they understand the immense cost of caring for others without having protection of their own. So they masterfully balance that deep, genuine empathy with incredibly strong, unwavering boundaries. They will absolutely throw you a life vest, but there is no way they're letting you drag them under the water.
Ultimately, true emotional intelligence is definitely not about being perfect, and it is absolutely not about manipulating the people around you to get your way. It is 100% about the architecture of your own mind. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. Are you going to keep spending your precious energy reacting to the noise, performing for an invisible digital audience, and outsourcing your self-worth? Or are you finally ready to master your own internal compass? Keep decoding the minds around you, for sure, but most importantly, start mastering your own.